Hello, ghosties. You're listening to Not My Ghost.
Not my problem. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Jen.
Whether you're a skeptic, a true believer, or somewhere in between, join us for a journey into the unknown.
Because remember, when it comes to the paranormal, it may not be our problem.
But it's certainly someone's problem. Hey, Jen. Sup?
Fuck you.
Wow, we're going in hard with the fuck you already. Couple seconds in.
We're starting off hard, guys. I will never live that down.
I think it's great. And we learned recently that could have been a come on.
It could have been. And if you want to know what we're talking about, you're just going to have to listen to the episode because we're going
Exactly.
to explain it a little bit later.
Yeah.
But welcome to today's episode where Kelly and I are going to discuss our amazing, fantastical weekend at Paracon.
It was so fun.
So fun. And I'll give you guys a warning up front. This entire episode is scripted, unscripted banter.
It is.
We have bullet points listed on what we want to discuss, but it is going to be very unscripted, very free flowing, and you're just going to get what you're going to get because we had a blast and we want to tell you about it.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into the mostly unscripted part, I do have an intro, so I'm just going to go ahead and read that. And then our facts is pretty much going to be the only part of this episode that's really scripted. This week, Kelly and I are sharing our experience at Paracon, held on the historic and notoriously haunted grounds of Pennhurst Asylum. From the moment we arrived, the atmosphere was electric, filled with paranormal investigators, curious skeptics, and fans of the unexplained. We had the incredible opportunity to meet some of the biggest names in the field, including our favorite, Project Fear,
Yay.
Ghost Brothers, Taps, and even Josh Gates, which y'all knew. So grab your EMF detectors, turn down the lights, and join us as we recount our unforgettable weekend exploring the haunted halls of Pennhurst Asylum. But before we get into that, I do have the facts. Now, I don't know which facts we used when we did a full episode on this way back when. I say way back when. It wasn't that far ago. Seems like forever ago.
In the last year.
Several months ago, we did a full episode on Pennhurst. So we're not going to dive back into all the history and all the horrific things that happened there because we already did that. So go listen to that episode if you want. We'll wait. Pause this episode.
Yeah.
Go listen to Pennhurst 1 and then you can come back.
Yeah, we'll be right here waiting for you guys.
We'll be right here.
We're not doing nothing until you let us know you're back.
Absolutely. Okay, you guys are back? Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you. We hope you enjoyed that episode. And I do apologize if these facts are the same because I didn't go back and listen to the episode because, ADHD. So the first fact is the campus of Pennhurst was like a small city. Pennhurst had over 30 buildings, including dormitories, a firehouse, a hospital, a morgue, a power plant, and its own underground tunnel system to transport patients and staff. And let me just tell you, after visiting this location, it is fucking huge.
It is very big. Like, even from where most of the buildings were when we were there, we could not even see a lot of the other buildings.
It was huge. There were buildings that weren't even open for us to go into. There were, I think, one building that was open for us and we didn't get to go into it because it was a far walk. So we didn't even scratch the surface in exploring this place. At its peak, it had over 3,000 residents. So Pennhurst was chronically overcrowded. And at one point, it had more than 3,000 residents that were crammed into this space designed for a lot less, which I think it was like half, Kelly, that it was designed for.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So insanity on the amount of people that were shoved into this place. Pennhurst was also completely self sufficient. The facility had its own farms, factories, workshops, and patients were often forced to work in these locations as part of their treatment, air quotes.
Yeah, nothing treats a mental handicap as much as farming or pulling weeds or,
Yeah. I mean, it could, don't get me wrong, if you're into that.
it can give you maybe a sense of purpose
Yes.
that
For
you
some
have
people,
something to get up and do every day, but this place probably wasn't like,
no,
"Let's go
I
for
don't
your
see that.
gardening," you know?
Yeah. I don't see that it was a good thing, but I get the idea in the perfect world. But again, you just listened to the whole episode, so you know that it didn't work out.
It's not a perfect world.
It's not a perfect it's far from it. And that's it for our facts.
Alright.
So, we're just gonna jump right in. So, I'll just we'll paint the scene for you guys. I flew into Maryland on Wednesday. The Wednesday, I don't even know what date it was. The Wednesday before Paracon. I don't know dates.
The Wednesday before the Friday.
Yeah. So, yeah, I flew in on Wednesday. We left on Friday. On Thursday, I worked from home. Kelly, do you wanna tell everyone what you did on Thursday?
Sure. So I was getting ready to take a shower while Jen was working, and got really mad at my dresser and violently kicked it and broke a toe. Not
Yep,
really, I didn't really get mad at it. I just have this little habit of accidentally kicking furniture and breaking toes.
apparently, that's a thing that she does.
I let Jen know.
She did. And she came into the room that I was working in and just started talking to me about well, I don't even remember what we were talking about.
Who
And just
knows?
all of a sudden it was, "Oh, by the way, I just broke my toe." "What?"
Yeah.
Just casually slid that into the conversation like it was no big deal.
This is the day before we leave for a weekend away where Saturday and Sunday we're gonna be on our feet for 8 hours.
Yeah. Mhm.
I made a little less on my feet, but yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah. So that was a great start to the weekend.
It was. It gets
And
worse from there with the foot situation.
it does. It doesn't get better, trust me. We'll get to that though. Do you wanna tell them what fun thing we did on Friday before the chaotic drive to Pennhurst?
Yeah, so Friday, we got up and we went to the courthouse and was there for my daughter Rebecca's wedding.
Yay!
And we had so much fun, and I'm so happy for her and her husband. I cannot imagine 2 people better suited for each other than these 2.
Yes,
And then we went to lunch with all of my family, which includes Jen,
I was there.
and all of my daughter's husband's family. And after lunch, Jen and I had to leave straight from the restaurant and head to Paracon because we had a happy hour to get to,
We
and we
did.
had limited time and a very long drive.
Very long drive.
Yeah,
Even longer because there was a road closure with some crazy things going on. We don't even know. We tried to Google it, but we couldn't find it. They had police like closing the road and they were making everybody turn around. There was a helicopter flying around in the area. So
fire trucks,
yeah,
ambulances, everywhere.
something crazy was happening, but we
Yeah.
tried to Google it and couldn't find anything.
So we got rerouted onto the toll road,
Yeah, which
the big
upset Kelly's husband.
a little bit. He doesn't like to spend unnecessary money, but I don't know what he expected us to do as the other road was closed.
It was literally closed. Could not have been avoided at that point. And we'd managed to make it to happy hour. We were a little late. We probably got in about so happy hour started at 5. I think we probably got in about 5:45.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
so we
had
were a
to go
little late.
straight. We had to go straight to happy hour.
Yes.
We could not stop at the hotel.
No. We got to happy hour and we kind of were just following people because we don't really know what we're doing or where we're going. And we walk over to this tent that's set up outside and they're like, "Oh, okay, here, sign this waiver." And we're like, "Okay, sure." We're just going into I mean, I guess maybe being drunk in a old abandoned building. Sure, that makes sense. We'll sign a
The
waiver.
woman specifically said, "Don't lick the walls," and I was
She
like,
did.
"Okay, is that a" I wasn't planning on licking the walls, but okay.
Clearly, someone has.
Yes.
So, there's always a good story, and I wish we would have asked for it, but we didn't. We were really ready to get to happy hour. So, we signed the waivers, and they give us this bracelet, and I'm like, "Oh, that's cool, like, I'll take a bracelet." And then the guy that's standing there was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, you guys can just, walk around and explore," and we're like, "Wait a second, where's the happy hour?" And he was like, "Oh, you're here for the happy hour and the dinner?" And we're like, "Yeah. Like, isn't that what everybody's here for?"
Right.
So, another woman walked us over to go get our badges, which we got. And after we got our badges and we're kind of like walking into the happy hour, we look at the wristbands that we were given and they say Paracon overnight.
They did.
They did. So, for those who don't know, they do 3 overnight investigations that you have to pay extra money for. We did not pay extra money for them,
We did not.
and we apparently were thought that we did, even though they did not ask us for our name or a ticket or anything.
No. Honest mistake on our part.
It was. We did not do it. We were
No.
we were good,
We considered it, but we're good people.
mostly because we were exhausted. Let's be
God,
real, Kelly.
you're giving them too real of a look, Jen.
We give them the real story here, mostly because we were exhausted. We talked about it. We were like, "Well, after dinner, let's just see how we feel." But by after dinner, we were exhausted, especially after something that happened to Kelly, which she'll tell you about in a little bit. We just wanted to get to the hotel. We were done.
Oh,
So we go into happy hour and we're in line to get our drink because, priorities. Did I mention we just had like a 2.5, 3 hour drive? Priorities. And someone starts like talking to these people in front of us and like really excited about like who they are. And we're like, "Do you know who they are?" "Oh, I don't know who they are."
yeah. She said, "I watch you
So
guys all the time," or something like that.
yeah. So Kelly asked the woman behind us who got excited, and she was like, "Who is that? And who were they?" I don't even remember.
They were actors from the show Grimm, which I've
Oh,
never
okay.
watched, but I kinda
No.
wanna check out now, to be quite honest with you.
I kinda do too. They seemed like a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
But they were just standing in front of us in line at the bar, and I guess that was cool if you know who they are. We saw them. We were there. Well, we got our drinks and we go into the other we're kind of walking, they had like 2 separate rooms. We go into the other room kind of looking around. And Kelly, who was hanging out in happy hour?
Well, we happened to see Steve and Tango from Ghost Hunters
We did.
getting their drink on. We did
That
also
they
see
were.
Jason. Jason
Yes.
was kinda walking around. We did not actually talk to Jason Friday night, though.
We did
But
not.
I listen, I drove to Paracon, and I have a lot of driving anxiety. And Jen, she showed up for me when I was anxious. She was there,
I
she helped
did.
me calm down, and she told me like, "Nope, nope, not this turn," because 'cause I'm always worried I'm gonna go the wrong place. I don't know, it's anxiety, people. It doesn't have to make sense.
It's not logical.
Now Jen, when she is in the presence of celebrities, gets
Mhm.
very quiet and clammed
All
up.
all my charisma that you hear on the podcast completely disappears.
It's gone.
Gone.
And I had to show up for Jen.
She did.
So I asked Jen if she wanted a picture with Steve, and she said, "Yes, but he's in the middle of a conversation."
I
And
didn't
I
wanna
said,
be rude.
"Well, we'll go stand over there, and then when there's a break in the conversation." I mean, they are here at the happy hour to mingle with us because we paid extra to be at this happy hour and dinner.
We did.
There's a break in the conversation, and I just say, "Hey, Steve, could we get a quick picture?" And Steve, sweetest guy, is like,
Oh,
"Absolutely." So
yes.
I pull out my camera to take a picture of Jen and Steve, which you will see on the social media post that goes
Yes.
along with this episode. And what did Steve say, Jen?
Yeah, so we took the picture and we were just chit-chatting a little bit, and he's like starts kinda smelling, and he's like, "What is that smell? It smells like a cookie or something." And I'm like, "Oh, that's me." He's like, "Oh, you're making me drool." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I get that a lot." And then he says, "You dirty dog, you."
Yeah,
And
so
I clammed up even more. I didn't know how to respond to that.
right, so Steve from Ghost Hunters told Jen that she's making him drool.
Yeah, yeah, he did. He did. He did do that. That happened
Yeah,
to me.
it
So
did.
I have this hand sanitizer, and I'm not gonna tell you all the scent because it is my secret signature scent, and I get it from I'm not even
Uh,
gonna tell you the location, but you can probably guess.
it's a popular store.
Yes. And I get it from there, and you could only buy it once a year. It's a seasonal scent, and it is my favorite, and during that time of the year, I stock up on it, and that hand sanitizer has a really, really strong smell. So I do get it all the time. Waitresses at, like, the restaurants will, like, come by the table after I just, like, went to the bathroom and used the hand sanitizer, and they'll be like, "Oh my god, what is that smell?" And then I'll be like, "Oh, it's me, it's me." So that was a pretty neat moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we went to our dinner.
Well, hold on. We did say
Oh,
hi to Tango.
we did
Briefly. We did not ask for a
briefly.
picture, but we did say hi to him.
I think they were walking out at
Yeah.
that point, so,
Yes.
it's okay. We let
Yeah.
Tango go, and then they were like, "Okay, everybody, you wanna come up here and go through this hallway and then go through this doorway and then walk over to the other building where dinner is."
Yes. We did do that.
We did, and it was a lot of fun. They had food set up, like, kinda a little bit like a buffet style, and there was a lot of people there, so they had
Yeah.
3 sections of tables, and they were releasing the tables, like, 1 section at a time to go up and get food.
Mhm.
Now, at happy hour, I happened to have 3 vodka and lemonades, and
So did I.
you had 1 beer and 2 vodka
Oh,
and lemonade.
that's right. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Sorry. I forgot. I did start with a beer. I do sorry.
She had to taste it, the lemonade
I
first to make
did.
sure it wasn't too sweet.
Yeah, which it
Um,
wasn't. It was actually really good.
it was really good. So while we're waiting, I have to go to the bathroom.
Like she always does.
Like, yeah, a little bit with the vodka and lemonade, but I just pee a lot. So I get up and say, I'm gonna run to the bathroom real quick. And right about this time, they call our section up to wait in line for the food. But it was a really, really long line.
Yeah.
So I go out, run out the door so I can use the porta potty because there's no damn plumbing in this place.
No, none
And then what
whatsoever.
happened?
Well, I'm standing in line, just kind of looking through my phone, and I get a text message from Kelly. And she doesn't say anything, just sends me a picture of her and Dakota from Project Fear. And I am fuming that she is out there while I am standing in line saving her spot, and she's out there getting pictures with Dakota. So she comes back in and just smiles at me. And I'm like, go to the back of the line, you bitch. I'm not saving your spot anymore. And then she's like, no, he's still out there. Go. So Kelly now is saving the spot. And I go out, and there is Dakota, who is really tall. I don't know if anybody realizes how tall the guys from Project Fear are, but
And
they
may I
are
add, even
very
hotter
tall.
in person.
Oh, yes, Dakota is I think you said it best, Kelly, when we were kinda talking about it, that neither of us we didn't think that Dakota was unattractive, but when we see him in person, he is now officially very attractive. He
He's
is
hot.
much hotter in person.
He is
Yeah,
hot.
he is. And very tall. Did I mention tall? He's so
He's
tall.
very tall.
Very tall. So he's standing there talking to somebody, and of course, my clammy self, like, doesn't know what to say, so I'm kinda just awkwardly standing there, and finally, there's a break in the conversation, and I'm like, "Can I get a picture?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, of course, sure." So I just hand my phone to the person who's standing there talking to him, and they take a picture of us, and he is so sweet and so nice, and I love him,
He's very
and
sweet. I
yes.
wonder if it was the same guy that took my picture with him, if he was still
I don't
talking to the
yeah,
same guy. Because when I went
probably.
out there, Dakota has a passion for filmmaking, And
Yeah.
he was talking about how he edits when they're editing the episodes for Project Fear, that he has to watch every second of the edits before he will release it because he wants it to be a certain way. And I just happened to break into the conversation and said, "But that's why it's so good." And he looked at me so genuine and said, "Thank you." And I just thought it was so sweet. He is a sweetie pie.
Yes. Yes, he is, and that was exciting, so I'm like, "Oh my god," I was not expecting to, like we knew they were gonna be after dinner, there was, like, Q&As with the celebrities, so we knew we would see them that night, but I was not expecting to, like, meet them and get a picture with them.
Right.
So I went back in, and Kelly, at this point, had gotten my food, and we went to go sit down to eat. And I kind of just joked with her. I said, if you would have sent me, I love Dakota, but y'all know Alex and Tanner are our favorites. And I said, if you would have sent a picture of you with Alex or Tanner, our friendship would have been over. And
Fair.
Kelly was like, I wouldn't have done that. I would have told you that you needed to come out. Like, I would have texted you that, and then we would have gotten pictures together. And I was like, okay, that's good. So then what happened next, Kelly?
Well, I had to pee again because
Shock.
I do, and 3 well, I would say 3 vodka lemonades, but it's been a while
Yeah, that's true.
since I've had these drinks. I'm feeling nothing. I never really felt too much of it
No.
even right
They
after
weren't very
drinking them. They
strong.
weren't yeah. So, I have to go to the bathroom again, and I tell Jen, "I'm gonna be right back," because the Q&A is going on. I'm like, "I'm gonna sneak out. I'm gonna go to the bathroom again."
And this point, I think it was Taps Q&A.
Right, right. So, I get out there, and I had to send Jen a text message that said, "Get out here now."
I have never ran anywhere so fast. Well, ran while also trying to be polite to ghost hunters who are on the stage. So quietly, secretly ran because at that point I knew what she's texting me. Tanner and or Alex are outside. And they
And
were, both
they
of them.
were.
Yes. And we both got individual pictures with them. And they are
Um,
also really tall.
they are, and
I
very
was not
sweet.
expecting them all to be this tall, but so sweet, so kind, and just very happily, took pictures with us, allowed us to both take our own individual picture. And I was fangirling because
Big
y'all know
time,
how much I love them.
big time.
Mhm.
Chelsea was not here at Paracon this year because
No,
she is due any day now. Her son will be born, I don't know, well, by the time you're hearing this, the baby's here.
probably,
Yeah.
probably, most likely. So we only got to meet the three of them, but that was amazing. And then we went back in and they had their Q&A session. And I remember somebody at one point asked them if they were single. And Tanner very, very vocally announced that he is single.
Yeah, it was a little like, "Yes, I'm single, but I would like to not be."
Yes, very much so. That is how it sounded. And on Friday night when this was asked, Alex and Dakota were both very quiet. Neither of them said anything. But
Right.
then on Saturday, they did another Q&A at Paracon during the main event, and somebody asked them again. And again, Tanner, very vocal, single and looking. Dakota said that he is single, but he is currently dating his laptop and editing software.
Yes.
And Alex was very
Suspiciously
quiet,
suspiciously quiet.
suspiciously quiet. He did not respond either time. So, ladies, we think Alex is off the market.
It's it's a sad day.
It is. I mean, happy for him,
Yeah,
but
hopefully she's good to him.
hopefully she better be.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
If she's not Alex, you give us a call.
yeah, and you
We'll
let us
straighten
know,
her out.
Alex. We
Yeah.
will. We'll take care of her for you. And then, do you want to tell him what happened
Well,
after we were? Oh no, sorry,
before we
I
get to
forgot.
my horribly embarrassing moment,
I was just trying to skip over my embarrassing moment,
I
Kelly.
don't think so.
Damn.
We had after the pictures with Tanner and Alex, we went back in. We're listening to a little bit more of the Q&A, and then it's time to kinda go.
No, they were still Q&Aing. You went
Oh,
out
that
to pee when
with
Nick and
Nick and
Tessa were
Tessa.
Q&A.
Right.
Yes. But they were the
And
last Q&A group, and they were almost over, so Kelly got up to go pee.
and when I got out there, guess who was still out there? Alex and Tanner and Dakota.
Mhm.
So I send Jen a text message that she needs to come back out. But I am on a mission. I am going to the porta potty.
She has to pee. So I grab all because she left all of her stuff at the table, so I grab all of our stuff and I go outside. And as I'm walking outside, as I'm walking out of the door, Alex is walking in the door. So we were really close again.
Did you
And
say
I
anything to him?
I didn't.
Mm.
Kelly, I clam
You
up. I can't
you didn't look at him and go, "Sup?"
I no. I did not. That is me not saying anything to Alex is less embarrassing than what we're about to tell you, at least
Okay.
in my opinion. So I go outside, I see Dakota standing there talking to a group of people, and I don't see Tanner. So I'm like, okay, I don't know. So I go stand over by the porta potties where Kelly is, and guess who walks out of the porta potty next to Kelly? Tanner.
Me and Tanner, we're old porta pot buds.
You are. You guys peed at the same time. How many people can say that?
Not many.
Not many. They really can't. So Tanner walks by. He's walking out of the porta potty. I'm the only one standing there, and he looks at me and he says, "Sup?" And I look back at him in all of his glory, and I say, "Not much." And I
She
am
didn't
mortified.
she didn't say, "Oh, I'm having a great time. I'm really excited to be here. It's so nice to be able to meet you guys."
Big fan. I love your show. You guys are the whole reason we're here. Like, none of that. All these things that have flown into my head afterwards. Nothing. None of it came out. All I said was not much. And he kind of, nodded at me and continued to walk on. And to make it worse, I just recently joined the Fear Club, which I don't know why I haven't in the past. I'm poor. I didn't have the money, but it's $10 a month. It's worth it. And I'm going back and I am rewatching all of their old like live videos that they do. And for the lives, it's basically just them talking and the Fear Club putting questions in the chat and them answering it. So I was watching an old live from Tanner, and they happened to get on the subject of pickup lines. And Tanner was like, "Yeah, I don't really do pickup lines. Like, do they really even work?" And he's like, if I'm like interested in somebody, I'm gonna go up to them and I'm gonna say, "What's up?" And when I saw that video, I cried a little because
I could have had to sleep in the car that night.
you could have. He could have been hitting on me, y'all. And I clammed up and said nothing.
Nah,
And
they
now
probably had a better hotel room than we did. I would have been just alone in our hotel room.
exactly. Yeah, I went back with him. Come on.
Yeah.
So that's my mortifying moment. And now, Kelly, let's tell them your mortifying moment.
Okay. Mortifying is a slightly strong word because I
It,
am
it
used to this. This is a phenomenon.
phenomenon.
Do, 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 do.
Yeah,
That
we got to make
happens
sure
to
we
me.
say that at least once in every episode because our Patreon members were mentioning that they always like are listening to see if we say it, and
Yeah.
sometimes we don't.
So this happens to me often. We are getting ready to leave. We're walking on the sidewalk to head towards the parking lot to get into the car and leave. I happen to look over my shoulder, and who do I see behind us? Not directly behind us, but behind us is Tanner and Alex. And
And
they're
Dakota.
f no, I don't think Dakota was there. It was
I
just
thought
Tanner and
Dakota was there.
Alex.
Oh,
Dakota,
okay.
I don't know where he was, if he was, like, off somewhere else, but I just saw Tanner and Alex.
Okay.
And they were looking in our direction. They were talking to someone too.
They
Now
were
I am
facing our direction.
they were
Let's not
facing,
let
not
they were not looking at us.
they were looking at our asses as we walked
Well, I don't
away.
know. Tanner might have been looking at me. We already know he was trying to flirt with me, so
And I don't do you want to explain what happened from your perspective?
yeah, because well, I mean, I'll do the best I can, Kelly, because I don't
I have
really
no
have much.
explanation for it either, so
I don't either. So we're walking and the pathway's not the biggest, and we're kind of walking off to the side. And I guess Kelly's stepped kind of off the path and it kind of dipped down. So she started to fall. And she was
to the right.
falling to the right. Yes. So I'm on the left of her. She was falling to the right, to the grass, off of the sidewalk. And I grab her arm because that's what friends do. And I am trying so hard to save her from falling because that would be awful. And I also know how frail she is. She's already broken a toe. I don't need her to break any more bones. I'm not going to the hospital with her and missing Paracon tomorrow. So I got to save this bitch. So I'm grabbing her arm and I don't know how it happened, but somehow, some way, she went from falling to the right to completely yeeting herself several feet down the sidewalk completely to the left
And landing in the mud.
in the mud, landing in the grass on the other side of the sidewalk
And
from
it
where
was
she
raining
originally
all
fell.
day. It was raining
Yes.
all day, so it was really muddy there.
It was. And I have no explanation except that somehow a ghost possessed her for a second and yeet herself all the way to the opposite side of the sidewalk. Because guys, when I say yeet, I mean yeet. Like I don't use that word lightly. It was like a good 4 or 5 feet that she yeeted herself to the opposite side of the sidewalk.
I did.
Hmm.
When I land in the mud, my leg is completely covered in mud, but I kinda land on my arm and my shoulder a little bit. And that's all like, later that night, it's all bruised up and sore. Just to keep everybody up to date here, broken toe, now very sore arm and shoulder.
Hmm. And she already has a bad ankle.
I
That's like a
have
permanent thing.
right, I have a problem with my ankle that leaves me permanently disabled, and I also have some nerve damage in my back that can cause extreme pain if I have to walk or stand a lot. That's why I got and brought my walker that has a seat on it.
Yes, which we did not use on Friday night.
We did not use on Friday night, but we weren't gonna be doing a lot of walking and standing.
We weren't. But just falling apparently.
Just falling. I don't know if Alex and Tanner saw the fall or not, but they were back there. There
They
were 2
were.
people behind us that did see the fall, and
They
he
did
was
try
like,
to help.
"Oh my god, are you okay? Are you okay?" And the Paracon lady that worked there, she's like, "Are you sure you're okay?" I'm like, "I'm fine. I do it all the time. I'm fine."
I just wish it was filmed because I really would love to relive that moment of how she was falling right and then completely went several feet to the opposite direction.
I have no clue.
I
But
I don't either.
I get up, I try to brush off my muddy leg, but it's not working, and we head
No,
to the car so we can go to the hotel. It is late.
it is. It's like 11 o'clock at this point.
We get to the hotel around 11:30, and we go to check in, and the guy had a didn't have the reservation for some reason, and then I showed him the confirmation email that we got, and then he was like, "Hold on a second. I need to go in the back and, like, do something." And he was like, "The problem isn't what you think it is," but he wouldn't tell me what the problem was.
Or what we thought it was.
Yeah, exactly.
We're like, we don't really have thoughts here, and we just wanna get our room. So
We're
that's all we
tired,
care
man.
about. We are. And
So
then he
then
starts, like, helping other people
yeah.
instead of us, and we're like I, like, walk back up to him, I'm like, "Excuse me." He was like, "I'm still figuring it out." I'm like, "You don't look like you're figuring it out. What are you saying?"
Eventually, he gives us some keys. He does not tell us what the room number is,
He doesn't.
but on the sleeve that the keys are in, he writes under room number 221. Jen and I go to room 221. We're trying to open the door. None of the cards are working. And we're like, what is happening here? So Jen says, I'm going to go back down and let him know that the cards aren't working. And I'm standing in front of the room 221. While Jen is downstairs, I think I hear movement in 221, but I'm not positive. Jen goes down to the guy and she's like, "Hey, our cards don't work." And she tells him room 221, and he's like, "221? Why are you in 221?" He's like, "You're supposed to be in 323. Why are you in 221?" She's like, "That's what you wrote on the sleeve."
I don't know this.
Eventually, we get to her room. I have to shower off all the mud off of my body.
Yeah. And then we did
And
go out before bed and smoke a cigar.
we did.
We did.
Had some laughs.
Yeah.
I
And
will
then we
say,
slept.
well, wait, Paracon aside, if you have not
Oh,
taken a trip away with your best friend, what are you doing with your life? Go right now.
do it.
Much needed. We had the time of our lives outside of Paracon,
Yeah.
just cracking up, having a cigar, having some wine.
Laughing at random shit,
Yeah,
crying while laughing. Like
yeah,
it was the medicine I needed in my life.
it absolutely was.
So we go to bed and we have to wake up early for Paracon. So just so you guys know, we had the RIP tickets, which are rest in peace, and that was the highest tier of tickets you could get. And this allowed you to get into Paracon at 9 a.m. Now, next step was the VIP, and that allowed them to get in at 10 a.m. and then general admission was at 11. So getting in RIP was clutch because it allowed us to get in 2 hours early before general admission, 1 hour before VIP. And we kind of had, I mean, not to ourselves, but we felt like we had the place to ourselves for a little bit.
Yeah, it was pretty empty when you go in.
It was.
But first, the parking situation.
Oh, God, the parking.
Last year when I went, I had REP, and the parking, they have a parking lot that's down near where you walk in. And that's where we parked when we got there. But for some reason this year, when we got there on Saturday, they were taking us a different way in like this back parking lot up this huge hill. Now, keep in mind, it's been raining a lot and I have a walker.
Hmm.
So now Jen and I are walking down this rocky, muddy hill. And we get to the bottom, and I remember I still have the cigar cutter and the cigar lighter in my bag from the night before.
Hmm.
And they would have confiscated that. So
They would
Jen,
have.
being the trooper that she is, took
That's a word.
those and ran it back up to the car. While I'm down there, a gentleman that was working in parking said, "Why aren't you in the handicap parking?" And I said, "I don't have a pass. I'm working on getting one, but I don't have one at this time." He said, "Just so you know, when you guys are leaving, let somebody in a vest know that you need a golf cart to get you back up to your car. And, they'll help you get up there." And I was like, "Okay." And they did. When we left that night, got the golf cart. Jen had to sit on the back and hold up the walker the entire way.
And we were not the only ones on this golf cart.
We were
There was
not,
another group who they dropped off first. So I am holding on to this walker for probably a good 10, 15 minutes.
because there was traffic too
Yeah.
that we had to
Yeah.
sit in. Okay. Now we get into Paracon.
Yes, we do.
We walk in, they're like, you have to go through the vendors. And what they do not tell you or advertise is where the people you were there to see are.
No.
They
And
were
they are
not
not
in the same
good.
spots as they were in last year. They
Yeah.
absolutely were not.
And they're not all in the same location either. So it's not
Right.
like you just go to one location and there's all the celebrities. They were kind of split up in between vendors. And we have two things on our mind when we get there: Project Fear, Josh Gates.
Now we
Now,
were looking for Josh Gates first because
yes,
we knew that the line was going to end up being very long. But on our way, we happened upon Project Fear and there was virtually no line.
yeah. So we go into Project Fear and I bought a bracelet. And then we got out our ducks. Kelly bought these like oversized rubber duckies. If anybody here watches Project Fear, you know that they always hide a rubber ducky in all of their episodes. It's on all of their merch. So they're really big into rubber duckies. And Kelly thought this was a very original idea and that we would have signed rubber duckies and they would think we were really creative and cool. And as they're signing them, someone behind us asked, like, "Oh, how many rubber duckies do you guys sign in a day?" And they were like, "We've gotten really good at signing rubber ducks."
So, not so original idea, but it was original to my brain because
It
I
was.
hadn't seen anybody do that before.
Yeah, and now we have oversized rubber ducks with 3 of their signatures.
Yes, and I do wanna point out a shout out to Project Fear. They were the only people that we saw that did not charge a fee to get a picture with them or to
Or to
have them
sign
sign something
something
you
else.
brought in. Yeah,
Yeah, which is just amazing, and I think that really speaks to how much they appreciate their fans, and they know that with them being on YouTube now, that their fans really showed up for them, and that's we're the reason that they get to keep doing this.
right. And then what happened, Jen?
Then we go to take a picture with them, and as we're, like, getting ready to line up, Dakota's standing next to me, and Kelly's walking to stand in between Alex and Tanner, which I'm still a little jealous about, but that's fine. And Dakota reads Kelly's shirt. Now, Kelly, what shirt were you wearing?
Oh, I was wearing an official Not My Ghost, Not My Problem podcast shirt.
Yes, she was. So Dakota said our podcast name.
He did.
He
He
did.
absolutely did, and I am very glad that he did not choose to read Jen's shirt.
Shut up. Why is this pick on Jen Day?
It's not, because it was both of our mistake.
That's true. You
S
you approved the design and you bought the design.
I did. So when Jen was kinda creating some designs for shirts, we have one that says "Haunt the Patriarchy,"
Super
and
cute.
it is super cute, and it said, "Not my ghost, not my problem" on it, or so we thought.
So we thought.
We're gonna fast forward to, mm,
Sunday,
was it Sunday?
Monday,
It was
Monday.
Monday. So Monday morning, we get up, we're getting ready to leave. I'm in the bathroom wearing the "Haunt the Patriarchy, Not My Ghost, Not My Problem" shirt, and I'm brushing my teeth. And I'm looking in the mirror. It pops out at me that the shirt, I see "Not My Ghost Problem." And I was like, "Wait, where's the not my for problem? Not my ghost, not my problem." And I don't know what my instinct was. I'm looking at it in the mirror, so something must be backwards or missing. So I pull the shirt out and I look down at it and I'm like, "Not my ghost problem." It's like, "Not my ghost problem." Now, before I say something to Jen, I'm in the bathroom really making sure that I'm not an idiot and I'm not missing the not my somewhere. And then I come out of the bathroom and I said, "Jen, did you know this shirt is wrong?" And she said, "No, it's not." And I was like, "It says not my ghost problem." And she said, "No, it says not my ghost, not my problem." I said, "Jen, read my shirt." And then she buried her head in a pillow.
And then, of course, I had to check the design to see if it was something an error that I made or if it was like a printing error. Nope, it was my error. So, for this design, I had all the pieces together in Canva, but I couldn't get the background to be removed so I could put it on different color shirts without it being like one big block. And at this point, I hadn't put the title of the podcast and I just had the top design. So I threw it into ChatGPT and said, remove the background and add "Not My Ghost, Not My Problem" to the design. So it did. I looked at it. I said, "Oh, this looks great." Threw it on a shirt, threw it in the store. Kelly approved it. 4 people, including Kelly and I, bought this design.
Uh-huh.
And then we realized that it just said "Not My Ghost Problem."
Not my ghost problem.
And we asked the 2 other people that bought the design, and neither of them noticed it either.
Well, Katrona said she noticed it,
Oh,
but
that's right.
she thought that it was like the not my for not my ghost was the not my for both ghost and
Yeah,
problem.
we weren't
It
that creative.
wasn't. We're not that smart.
I redid the design, and we did send the 2 other people brand new shirts
That
to
we
make up
covered.
for yes, that
Yeah,
we
we
paid for because it was our mistake. So we just told them to hold on to them because when we're famous one day, they're gonna have one of 4 original messed up designs that are probably gonna
that's
be
right.
a lot of money.
Yeah, not my ghost problem.
Not my ghost problem.
I just wish there was a camera in that bathroom watching me staring in that mirror like, "What? Not my ghost problem?" And I've looked at this shirt so many times, and
I
I
have
w
worn this shirt, like,
yeah,
well, in fact, Have worn and I've only had this shirt for, like, a month, and I've probably worn this shirt at least twice a week because it's a t-shirt, I work from home, I wear it multiple times, and I actually got a little hole in it where I think it, like, snagged on, like, the zipper of my jeans or something, and I was like, "Oh, I gotta buy a new one, and I'll just make this one my sleep one." Well, I had to buy a new one because of other
Yeah.
reasons.
Yeah. I don't know why it didn't jump out at me before, but for some reason, for just brushing my teeth, not even really looking at I didn't even
Yeah.
realize I was reading the shirt when it jumped out at me, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's how it happens.
Well, that is Kelly and Jen's Big Dum Dum. Now,
Yeah.
back to Paracon.
Back to Paracon, sidetrack. Yeah, so we're just gonna go real quick just down the kind of the talk about the different people that we met. We kind of have already talked all about Project Fear. Couple other things to say about Project Fear. During their Q&A on Saturday, they did say that they are working on a documentary because as Kelly said, Dakota's passion is filmmaking and they are investigating an area in Nevada that may have them on some kind of list because they're outside of a secure area that they're probably not supposed to
Yeah.
be outside of.
A very big area.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they're gonna bring it to us in a documentary, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
Next, we went to Josh Gates,
And there was
and
hardly anyone in line.
hardly. We waited about 5 minutes, and later in the day, we heard people talking about how they waited 2.5 to 3 hours to meet Josh Gates and get his autograph and picture. So we got so lucky, and I was starstruck because if you guys have listened to any of this podcast, you know that I have a huge crush on Josh Gates. And we went to take a picture. We bought a couple of pictures. He was signing them. We were kind of chatting. We went to take a picture with him. And just as we're about to take the picture, Josh Gates says, something smells good. What's that smell? So, of course, I was like, oh, that's me. That's me. It's my hand sanitizer. And he's like, oh, yeah. As soon as you like walked up, it just kind of wafted over to me. So, Josh Gates said I smelled good.
He did.
He did. And then on Sunday, we had the Q&A with Josh Gates. And as nice of a guy as you think he is, he's nicer. Like
Amazing.
so sweet. Like they say don't meet your heroes, but meet your heroes at least when they're in the paranormal world because they were all amazing.
Yeah.
And he was so cute. He answered a bunch of questions, had a lot of kids asking questions, and he did a really good job. He was really cute with them. And he just talked for like an hour, just answered all the fans' questions, and we just got to learn a little bit more about him. And he's just a really sweet, nice guy. Unfortunately, he is not single. We did learn that.
That's right. It looks like Josh Gates missed his opportunity and is out of the running for Jen's future husband.
He is.
However, Tanner is single.
Tanner is single and looking and flirted with me because I'm sticking with that
Right.
story.
We are pretty sure that Alex is seeing someone and not single.
Yeah.
And Jen's not one to break up
I'm not.
relationships and
And
stuff.
also, honestly, if we're being real, Alex is hot, right? But I think Tanner is boyfriend material. I mean, Tanner is very attractive, don't get me wrong. Very, very attractive. But he is also boyfriend material.
Yeah.
I don't know if I see Alex as boyfriend material.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I mean, maybe. I don't know him that well. Honestly, and I've been watching all these past lives on Project Fear in the Fear Club. And Tanner, at least in the beginning, at least where I am, did like seemed like he did an hour to 2 hour live every single day. So I've spent the last 5, 6 days with Tanner doing everything, just holding my computer, walking around my apartment as I'm working and cleaning and everything else. So I'm really getting to know Tanner. And Tanner and I vibe. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So I would like to say congratulations to Tanner Wiseman.
Mhm.
You win Jen. And
You win me.
Jen is an amazing prize to win.
I am. I'm pretty
So
great.
congratulations. I'm looking forward to the wedding invitation. Maybe you guys will get married somewhere crazy like Pennhurst or Waverly Hills or
Yeah.
I don't know.
So after Josh Gates, we went to the Ghost Brothers. And if you guys haven't watched the Ghost Brothers, I know they're not as well known as some of the other people we're talking about. Go watch them because they are amazing. and so sweet, like, so sweet.
They're funny too.
They're funny, and we love them, and we when we walked up to them, it was still very early, they did not have anybody in their queue yet, and they kinda talked to us for a few minutes, and they asked us I asked them, "When are you guys, like, coming back?" Because their show got canceled, like almost every other paranormal show because of some douchebag out there, and they said, "Soon," like, "There's things in the work," and then they asked us, "What do you wanna see us do?" Which I just thought that was so sweet.
Yeah,
And we said that, "We love your investigating, but I also really love what they did with Jack Osborne, where
it
they
was the best.
watched videos and they just commented on the videos because the 4 of them together were hilarious."
Now,
And
I am a big Jack Osborne fan, and
yeah,
that's how I found the Ghost Brothers, because
yeah,
I found Fright Club first, and I was like, "Who are these guys?" And
yeah.
then I, went on, looked them up, and then watched Ghost Brothers, and I am so glad that I did.
Absolutely. So we got pictures with them buying if you bought their photo, they signed it, and then they said it also comes with hugs and a selfie. So we got pictures and we got a hug. Jawan said I smelled good, so another person to check off my list that thinks I smell nice. And Marcus, if you're listening, because we know you are,
We knew you.
you give the best hugs
It
that
was
I
the
didn't
w
even know I needed.
I don't like hugs. I don't hug Jen.
No,
I am
except when we're, like, leaving. That's the even when we first see each other after a while, we won't hug. We will
right.
hug when we're dropping each other off at the airport, and that's it.
And it's not like it's like a half, like, pat on the back hug, and this man has the warmest, most comfortable embrace.
Yes,
It's healing. He has healing hugs. And
he
when he
does.
hugged me, he just swayed back and forth and was singing me a song about how awesome I am. I
Yeah,
hello?
just so sweet and amazing.
How did he know? I am awesome.
He just knew.
Yeah,
So after Ghost Brothers, we went over to Katrina, and
I love Katrina. She was on a show, Portals to Hell with Jack Osborne, and she did Paranormal Lockdown with Nick Groff. Now, last year when we went, Katrina and Nick were not there. And they were two people that I was really hoping I would get to meet. And they were both there this year. We get up to Katrina and we, get a picture for her to sign. And she asked me my name. And I say Kelly. And she says, "Oh, my favorite name." Really? I don't know why it was her favorite name, but I'll take
I
it.
love that. Yeah.
Yeah. She was very sweet.
Yeah, very sweet. She again and they all spent time actually talking to you. Like,
Yeah.
they weren't I mean, we don't know, maybe later in the day it wasn't quite as they didn't spend quite as much time, but they all really talked to us, and we loved that. That was wonderful.
Yeah.
Then after Katrina, we went to Nick and Tessa.
Nick and Tessa, they spent so much time with people. It wasn't a long line, but we waited the longest in their line because they took so much time to talk to their fans that came up, and I was so happy. They were super sweet, and I was so happy to get to meet Nick. Now, Nick started on Ghost Adventures, and, it's not my kinda show, but I always liked Nick, and I thought that he seemed very genuine, and then I saw him with Katrina on Paranormal Lockdown, and then I've seen some other shows like Ghosts of Shepherdstown, I think that he was on, and I've just always liked Nick. And now he has a show on YouTube with his wife Tessa called Deathwalker, and it's just really cool to watch them work together.
Yeah,
I really like to watch those 2 together, and we got to chat with them, and I told him I was excited he was there, and we asked how their baby's doing. They have, like, a one-year-old baby, and it was really cool.
that was cool. And I do apologize if you guys can hear thunder. It's Florida and it's summer. We're getting a thunderstorm.
I can't hear it.
Okay. After Nick and Tessa, we went to Taps. Now, one thing we forgot to mention about Friday night when we met Steve, and more so at the Q&A, a little bit at the happy hour. Steve was kind of intoxicated on
A
Friday
little.
night. Just a
A l
little.
just a little.
Just a little, and he was having a great time.
He really was.
He
He was having the best time of anybody there.
Oh, he It's more fun than anybody. He came down and, like, pulled a chair up right in front of the stage when Project Fear was doing their Q&A, and then he, like I don't even remember what he asked them, but he asked them some random question,
Yeah.
and he was giving everybody hugs as, like, that the other celebrities that were coming around, and
At
he
one
was
point, he was up and he was, like, pumping his fist and
Yes.
dancing around.
Yeah. He was having a great time.
Yeah.
So we went to Taps, and Taps had it set up to where you're the first table, you could talk to Jason and Sherry, and then there was the second table where you could talk to Steve and Tango. And we went to the first table and, bought pictures. I had Jason sign the picture, and then Jason actually took selfies. Now, I will tell you, if you ever need someone to teach you how to take selfies, ask Jason Halls because he was an expert selfie taker. He's also very tall. All these ghost hunters are tall. He was very tall and he got the right angle. He did it at all the different angles. He did it from like high up, from down. He took probably like 15 selfies of us in like a 30-second time frame.
He has
He-
daughters, so
yeah, that makes
yeah,
sense. But Jason, if you're listening and we know you are, your selfie game is on point.
it absolutely is. And you
Yes.
are so incredibly kind.
Oh my God, he is.
He's when you watch the show, it kinda comes across as having, like, this really rough, like, kinda personality, this hard exterior, but what an absolute gentle
He
giant
is.
he is. He's so sweet.
Absolutely. He really is. Then we went over to Steve and Tango, and Kelly, you got your book signed,
Mhm.
and then we got pictures with them. Steve and Tango both said I smelled good. I had to remind Steve that he already told me I smelled good last night, and he said, "Oh, yeah, I remember." I don't know if he remembered.
He was I don't know if he was as drunk then as he was at the end of the
That's
night,
true.
but
But still, he probably met a lot of fans, whether he remembered me or not. But they both said I
right.
smelled good, so 2 more people to add to the list. And they were just, yeah, super friendly as well. We got pictures with them and they were awesome.
Yeah.
And at that point, it was not even 10:30 and we had all of our autographs, met all the celebrities we wanted to meet, and it was amazing.
It was. So we headed over to the big tent where they have their Q&As, and we got to sit
Mhm.
there for several Q&As.
Yeah. Listened to a lot of questions and got to know a little bit more about some of these celebrities.
Yeah. Then we got something to eat.
Mhm.
We saw puppies.
We did see puppies. Nick, you suck.
The SPCA was there, and they had dogs and cats that were available for adoption, and I found my dog, and my husband said no,
Yeah.
and
So
I
everybody go to social media and comment how much Nick sucks.
yeah, please. I almost didn't listen to him. I almost came home with the dog anyway.
Yep.
It was it was very close because I'm a grown woman. If I want a dog, I can have a dog.
Absolutely.
I don't need permission, but I am trying to keep some kind of peace in my marriage.
Yeah. That makes sense. So then we were walking around through the vendors on Saturday and we ran into this vendor who was a psychic, a medium who specialized as a pet psychic.
We didn't know this at first when we walked
No.
up. We were just kinda looking at her prices, just, looking around because 'cause we're just shopping the vendors, and she looked at me and said, "You recently lost a dog." And I have. So I said, "Yes," and she said, "He is with you. He's by your left ankle, small dog," and I was like, "Yeah." And she said, "He's so happy that he gets to travel with you now, because
Yeah.
before when you would travel, he wasn't able to come along." And, that's true. It might be true for a lot of animals. That was kind of on point, but then she said that a person was coming through.
Yeah, because you did
And
a reading with her.
yeah, like a 15-minute just little reading. And she said a person was coming through and she said, "Getting mom, but I don't think your mom has passed." And I was like, "No." And she said, "So it's your mom's mom." And I was like, "Really?" She said, "Yeah, and she wants you to know that she is here with you and, she's always around. She still loves you. She's still guiding you." And I was like, "Really? That's weird because she hated me." And the medium goes, "No." She's telling me, "No, I did not hate her. I just was very firm with her." And I'm like, "Nah, nah, she hated me." Like, She missed no opportunity to tell me I was fat or that I wasn't as pretty as other people. She was very mean.
Yeah.
So that's not comforting to me that she's hanging around me all the
No,
time. Like, "Go away,
not at
grandma.
all.
Go
Yeah.
away."
She did, in your reading, kind of sense that you tend to hear and see things
I
or
do.
know things that other people can't or don't know, and she did encourage you to develop that, so that was kind of accurate.
Yeah.
I think, and kind of what I was telling Kelly after the reading, is that some psychics, they have the ability, but maybe not enough is coming through for every person. So they kind of fake some things, I think. And then, it's very easy to be like, yeah, your grandmother. Who doesn't have a grandmother that they love?
Right. And she can
So,
tell that I'm older, right? I mean, I
mhm.
look my age. I'm 50 and almost 51, so it makes sense that my grandmother would be dead.
Yeah, absolutely. And a couple of other fun people we met. On Sunday, we ran into this one guy that we kind of had a pretty long conversation with. You want to tell them about that?
Oh, so there's if y'all watch Peanuts and you know that Lucy, when she would set up her psychiatry booth, it was like a orange booth that said like psychiatry, 5 cents. He had like a cardboard kind of cutout of that, and it said the skeptic is in. And we were walking past and I looked at him jokingly and said, "Do you charge 5 cents?" And he said, "No, it's free." But I was unclear at first if he was the skeptic or if he was talking to other people that would come up to him that were skeptics and that he was gonna, like, take the paranormal side. It was I don't know. I guess it should have made sense to me, but I'm
Yeah.
tired. At this point, it's getting closer to the end of the day on Sunday, and we sat there and talked to him for a while. We had a great conversation with him, and look, we're not afraid of skeptics. Like, they bring a different perspective, and that perspective can make our podcast better because it
Yeah.
offers us resources for possible explanations that maybe
Right.
we are not aware of. So his
And he had a binder that had a bunch of pictures in it of like common paranormal photos caught on camera. And next to them, they were debunked, where he actually recreated the photo and explained how he did it, which I
right.
thought was pretty cool.
Yeah. So his name was Kenny Biddle or Beidle.
Yes.
I know it's Biddle. And he's with the Committee for Skeptical Inquiry, the chief investigator. And I'll tell you what, this man, and I'm assuming his wife, came to a paranormal convention where everybody there is like way in to the
Yeah.
paranormal and belief in ghosts. And he set up a booth that I'm going to tell you why y'all are wrong.
Yeah.
And it was ballsy and I
It was.
respect it. I
I do.
respect it. We had a great conversation with him. He gave us some magazines.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I told him, "Thank you, you made our podcast better by
Yeah. We'll
giving us these
definitely
resources."
use him as a resource for different things. You all know how we like to debunk stuff. While we do believe, we also like to make sure we're giving you guys all the information.
Right.
And
Mhm.
I think that was mainly it for kind of our oh, no, well, we do have 2 other experiences with some psychics that we're gonna talk about in part 2, because this is gonna be 2 parts. And the rest of part 2, we are gonna talk about the just a little bit of the history of Pennhurst, very brief, and then the different buildings that we were able to go into and what their uses were, and some of the reported hauntings, and then some of the things we experienced, because we experienced some things.
We did.
We did. So stay tuned. Now, I think it's going to be a couple of weeks before the next episode comes out. I do apologize, but we have some timely episodes that we have to release. We have our anniversary special episode that I think is coming out next week. And then the following week, we have a fun 4th of July episode. So, unfortunately, we do have to split these up with a couple of weeks in between, but we promise it's coming. So, just hang on, and then you'll hear about all the ghostly happenings that happen. And there was more than one. We
Yeah,
had a couple of experiences and we're
yeah.
excited to share.
By the way, if you're considering Do I wanna go to Paracon? Is it worth the money? It is.
It is.
Go.
Go.
10 out
If
of
you
10.
like any of the people that we just talked about, go, because 10 out of 10 would do again, will do again.
Will. Yeah. As soon as they go on sale for next year, we're getting tickets.
Well, that brings us to the end of part 1 of our unforgettable weekend at Pennhurst.
Oh, my it's me now. I'm like, "Why'd you stop talking?" If you loved what you heard, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen. Your support helps us reach more listeners and share even more spooky stories.
And don't forget to follow us on Facebook at Not My Ghost, Not My Problem, and on Instagram at Not My Ghost Podcast. We will post all the pictures we have with our celebrities, and on the part 2, we'll post some of the pictures of inside the buildings that we took.
Yeah. If you want even more ghostly content, consider joining our Patreon. We have some fantastic exclusive perks for our supporters.
It
Just
is.
go to patreon.com/slash not my ghost, not my problem. And if you have ever had a spine tingling paranormal encounter, share your story with us at notmyghostpodcast@gmail.com, and you will hear it on a future episode.
You will, for sure. Well, thank you for joining us on this chilling exploration of our weekend at Pennhurst Asylum. Remember, as you wander through the haunted halls and listen to the whispers in the dark, keep this in mind.
If it's not your ghost,
It's not your problem.
until next time, stay spooky
And stay skeptical.